Fast food fish sandwiches are quietly turning into a national health crisis, and no one's talking about it. In the past 10 years, sodium levels in fish sandwiches from major chains have increased by over 40%, while the actual portion of fish has shrunk dramatically. Some sandwiches today contain less than 30% real fish padded with fillers, binders, and mystery batter soaked in old oil. Yet prices have doubled. You thought you were biting into something light, maybe even a healthier choice during Lent. But behind that crispy golden crust is a pile of tricks that no ingredient label wants you to notice. Recycled fryer grease, fish from questionable waters, marketing fluff dressed up as sustainability. And the worst part, these chains know exactly what they're doing, because profit margins always come before your health. This video is not just a list, it's a wake-up call. We're exposing 5 fish sandwiches you should never touch again and revealing 2 rare options that might still respect your trust. Watch till the end. The difference between a fillet and a fake could be sitting in your next lunch bag. Number 1, Subway. Subway has been lying to you for years, and it got away with it, smoothly, silently, until inflation hit America like a freight train, and suddenly people started paying attention to every dollar and every bite. That's when the illusion cracked. What looked like a harmless, budget-friendly tuna sandwich turned out to be the biggest bait-and-switch in fast food history. When the New York Times ran DNA tests on multiple Subway tuna samples and found 0 identifiable tuna DNA jaws, didn't just drop, they locked in disbelief. No tuna in a tuna sandwich. But the more terrifying part wasn't the absence of tuna. It was the presence of something else, something unlabeled, something you were never supposed to question, because the system counted on your trust. And that trust, it was exploited to the last penny. This wasn't some isolated oops. Subway didn't just miss a shipment of tuna one day. The lawsuit that followed pulled the curtain back on a much uglier machine. One where meat is pre-processed, flash-frozen, and chemically enhanced in undisclosed facilities thousands of miles away before it even reaches your local store. A supply chain so long and so fragmented that even managers at the counter couldn't tell you where the fish came from or when. But here's the kicker. When that lawsuit hit, Subway didn't clarify what species of fish they were using. They didn't apologize. They didn't even promise better transparency. Instead, they doubled down on marketing, ran flashy campaigns, called it 100% real tuna. They just hoped you'd forget. And that's the part that should scare you the most. Because this isn't just about one sandwich. It's about how far corporations will go when regulation looks the other way. The FDA doesn't require fast food chains to label the species of fish they use, nor does it force them to disclose the sourcing. That gap, tiny on paper, is a canyon wide enough to hide gallons of mystery meat and years of corporate deceit. Let's zoom out. The entire Subway model is built on franchises. Over 20,000 of them in the United States alone. That means ingredients must travel far, stay shelf-stable longer, and be manipulated to ensure every sandwich tastes the same whether you're in Oregon or Ohio. But sameness has a price, and that price is artificial texture, synthetic flavoring, and massive quantities of sodium and preservatives. One 6-inch tuna sandwich can contain over 900 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half the daily limit for older adults with high blood pressure. And that's just lunch. What does this all mean for you? It means you've been eating a product that can't legally call itself tuna in several countries. It means the thing you reached for when you wanted to eat clean might have been packed with more industrial filler than actual fish. It means no amount of lettuce and cucumbers on top can hide what's really going on underneath. And if you're someone who watches their diet, deals with cholesterol, or simply wants to know what you're putting into your body, this should feel like betrayal. Subway sold you the illusion of health, of freshness, of trust. But when the economy tanked and people needed affordable food they could rely on, Subway didn't step up. It got exposed. So here's the question. If they lied about the fish, what else is fake? Stick with us. This isn't just about one bad sandwich. It's about the chains you walk into without thinking twice. And the truths they hope you never ask. Number 2, McDonald's. McDonald's isn't just changing, it's drifting. And not in a quiet, graceful way, but in a full-speed departure from the values it once claimed to stand for. Quality, affordability, consistency, gone. And nowhere is that clearer than in their filet-o fish. What used to be a simple sandwich for meatless Fridays has become a disturbing example of what happens when global branding smothers accountability. The filet-o-fish is not just outdated, it's deceptive. Behind that soft steamed bun and a sliver of processed cheese lies a product that's been engineered to pass as seafood while barely scraping the standards of nutritional decency. One tiny fillet, roughly the size of a playing card, holds over 470 milligrams of sodium. And that's before you add fries or a drink. But that's not the worst part. What McDonald's doesn't tell you is where the fish comes from. You're shown blue oceans and sustainability logos, but rarely the catch location or method. The chain claims to use wild-caught Alaska pollock with MSC certification. Sounds responsible, right? But what they don't mention is that the very organization granting those certificates has faced serious backlash for greenwashing, for approving fisheries with high bycatch rates, and for operating under weak oversight. In other words, the fish might be from the ocean, but the story they sold you is pure marketing fluff, and it gets more disturbing. To maintain uniformity across over 13,000 stores in the US alone, McDonald's freezes its fish in massive central facilities where fillets are bleached, soaked in phosphate solutions to retain moisture, and shaped into perfect rectangles. That uniformity, you see, it's not freshness, it's industrial processing at its most aggressive. Now think about who this sandwich is aimed at. Seniors avoiding red meat, religious families during Lent, low-income workers looking for something light and affordable. These are the very people who need real nutrition and transparency the most, and yet they're being sold the most manipulated product on the menu. And McDonald's knows it. Because even though the filet-o-fish only makes up a small percentage of total sales, it remains on the menu for one reason: profit stability. The ingredients are cheap, the portion is small, the build never changes, and the customer, often too tired, too trusting, or too nostalgic to question it. But let's step back further. McDonald's influence on the fish market is massive. By buying pollock in such huge quantities, they help set prices, dictate supplier behavior, and shape public perception. When they cut corners, entire supply chains follow. That ripple effect reaches fisheries, processing plants, transporters, and ultimately your plate. So one sandwich, it doesn't just affect you, it affects the entire system. And that system, it's not working in your favor. In the last 5 years, the average fast food meal has risen in price by over 30%, yet portion sizes have shrunk. Ingredient quality has declined, and chains like McDonald's have doubled down on pre-cooked, reconstituted shortcuts that maximize margins at the expense of health. So when you bite into that filet-o-fish, you're not just eating a sandwich. You're swallowing the result of a system that rewards appearance over substance. That treats the word fish as a suggestion, not a standard. That bets you won't read the fine print, or that there is no fine print to begin with. Let's be blunt. McDonald's didn't evolve, it devolved. From a household name to a brand that's increasingly comfortable cutting corners, knowing the trust it built decades ago is still just enough to keep you coming back. But maybe not anymore. Because now you know. And once you know, it's impossible to forget. Stay with us. There's more coming. Much more. Number 3, Burger King. If you're still walking into Burger King thinking the big fish sandwich is a safe pick, let this be your final warning. This isn't just a questionable menu item. It's a masterclass in corporate negligence disguised as convenience. And the longer it stays on the menu, the deeper the damage gets. The big fish is a disaster from the first bite. The breading is thick and soggy, the fish is thin and dry, and the only thing big about it is the sodium content. Just one sandwich can hit over 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly 3/4 of what an older adult should consume in an entire day. But this isn't just about the numbers. It's about how Burger King built this mess and why they refuse to clean it up. Let's start with the fish itself. Burger King uses Alaskan pollock, a cheap and overfished species that's become the fast food industry's default filler. But unlike premium cuts or responsibly sourced options, the fish used in the big fish sandwich is pre-fried at processing plants, then frozen and shipped across the country before being fried again in store. This double fry method doesn't just destroy the texture. It locks in oxidized oils, raises acrylamide levels, and turns what could have been a light protein into a greasy, heavy slab that your body has to fight to digest. And it's not just the fish that's problematic. The bun is loaded with corn syrup. The tartar sauce is bulked up with industrial stabilizers. The lettuce, often slimy and translucent, pulled from mass distribution bags that sit too long in under-maintained coolers. Every ingredient feels like it's been pushed past the edge of freshness, and that's no accident. It's optimization. Not for you, but for profit. The shocking truth: Burger King barely talks about this sandwich. It's not featured in commercials. It doesn't get flashy promotions. It lurks on the menu, quietly collecting sales from loyal customers who remember the Whaler from the 1990s and think they're getting a similar product. They're not. This silence is calculated. The big fish is what industry insiders call a legacy item. It's cheap to make, easy to store, and rarely gets updated. Because for Burger King, keeping it on the menu isn't about satisfaction. It's about padding the margins with the least effort possible. What happens when a company stops caring? Quality drops. Accountability disappears. And customers get left with products that haven't been reformulated in over 2 decades. And it's not just one store. It's systemic. Franchisees are locked into rigid supply agreements. Ingredients are standardized for bulk efficiency, not flavor or nutrition. And customer feedback routinely ignored unless it goes viral. Now zoom out. This sandwich is sold to truck drivers on the road, parents on tight budgets, retirees stretching their pensions. People who can't afford to get it wrong. People who deserve better. Yet they're the first ones targeted, with food engineered to look passable and taste just good enough to keep complaints below the radar. But here's the kicker. Every time you buy a big fish, you're telling Burger King it's okay to keep cutting corners. That it's okay to skip the upgrades. That your health, your money, and your trust don't matter, and they're listening. Because as long as the orders keep coming in, nothing changes. So ask yourself this. If this sandwich has stayed exactly the same since 1998, is it because it was perfect or because they stopped trying? You deserve better. You've always deserved better. And the big fish. It's nothing but a relic of a fast food empire that traded progress for autopilot. Stay with us. The deeper we go, the clearer the game becomes. Number 4. Long John Silver's. If deep-fried regret had a drive-thru, it would wear a pirate hat and call itself Long John Silver's. For a chain that's built its brand on fish, it somehow manages to make the ocean feel like a landfill. And while the nostalgia of hush puppies and golden crumbs might cloud some memories, the truth bubbling underneath is far from comforting. Start with the fish. What you're biting into is not fresh, not flaky, and definitely not trustworthy. Most Long John Silver's fish fillets are pre-battered, flash frozen, and doused in hydrogenated oils that have been banned in several countries. Their signature batter may deliver crunch, but it also delivers one of the highest trans fat counts ever recorded in fast food. In fact, a public health report once ranked their meal combo as one of the worst restaurant meals in America. That's not an opinion. That's a number backed by data. But it doesn't stop at the fryer. Long John Silver's operates on a bulk supply model, pulling from the cheapest global fish markets available, often with minimal traceability. That means your fish could be pollock cake or something less clear-cut, sourced from waters flagged for overfishing, pollution, or loose regulation. The chain isn't required to tell you. And that silence, it's not ignorance, it's strategy. Because the less you know, the more they can get away with. And what they're getting away with is staggering. A typical fish meal from this chain can clock in at over 1,300 calories, drenched in sodium and absolutely drenched in fryer grease that's rarely changed as often as it should be. Employees from multiple states have anonymously shared how grease traps overflow, cleaning schedules get skipped, and fryers run days without a full oil change, just topping off the sludge with more oil to keep it going. Now pause. Imagine you're an older adult trying to cut cholesterol, or someone dealing with high blood pressure, or a parent just trying to afford dinner for 3. This isn't just a bad choice, it's a health trap hiding behind a deep-fried smile. And if you thought corporate was unaware, think again. Long John Silver's hasn't overhauled its menu in any meaningful way in over a decade. Their advertising stays vague. Their sourcing details stay buried. Their stores, many are outdated, underinvested, and slipping into what one food blogger called the abandoned mall phase of fast food. Yet somehow they're still here, still churning out mystery fish drenched in nostalgia and grease, still cashing in on people who believe the word seafood carries weight. But here's the truth: when the seafood industry relies on loopholes, when chains hide behind frozen supply lines and fake freshness, it's the consumer who pays the highest price. And Long John Silver's, they've been collecting that price for far too long. What's more dangerous than eating bad fish? Trusting the people who serve it to do better and watching them refuse. This isn't just a failing brand. It's a warning wrapped in a paper tray. The next time you hear the crunch, don't mistake it for quality. Sometimes it's just the sound of profit margins snapping into place. We're not done. This rabbit hole goes even deeper. Stay with us. Number 5. Dairy Queen. If you walked into Dairy Queen thinking their menu stopped at soft serve and dipped cones, you'd be forgiven. But if you walked out with a fish sandwich in hand, you might need a second opinion and a full blood panel. Because buried behind the blizzards and nostalgia lies one of the most bafflingly low-effort fish offerings in fast food. And it's not just lazy, it's risky. The wild Alaskan fish sandwich sounds exotic. It's not. What you're really getting is a pre-battered, flash-fried, double-frozen fillet so generic even staff members often don't know exactly what it is. The sandwich is slapped together with shredded lettuce that wilts faster than ice cream in July, and a tartar sauce so sweet and artificial it could pass for frosting. And yet the real issue isn't the taste, it's the why. Why is a brand built on frozen treats pushing seafood simple? Expanded margins. Dairy Queen's food menu is designed for quick sales with low overhead. Their fish is bulk sourced through massive distributors with minimal transparency. No sustainability promise, no traceable catch method, just a vague label and the assumption that no one's paying attention. This isn't an isolated issue. Dairy Queen operates on a franchising model with wide variation in standards. Some kitchens follow decent food safety procedures. Others cut every corner imaginable. Public health inspections in several states have flagged Dairy Queen locations for poor storage practices, cross-contamination risks, and most shockingly improper thawing of frozen fish. When freezer burn meets fryer grease, nobody wins. But it goes deeper. This fish sandwich isn't just neglected. It's a product of neglect by design. It exists solely to check the box on menu variety. Lent season rolls around tossing the fish. Need a non-meat item, fish will do. But ask yourself who's holding them accountable. Certainly not the parent company International Dairy Queen, owned by a holding giant more concerned with profit reports than fryer temperature. And while the product may come off as a seasonal side note, its impact isn't minor. Seniors with heart conditions, budget-conscious families, skipping beef folks trying to eat lighter on the go, they're the ones most likely to reach for this sandwich. And they're the ones being served substandard calories disguised as convenience. Even more damning, Dairy Queen rarely advertises this sandwich. It slips under the radar, avoided by food reviewers, ignored by promotional campaigns. That silence is strategic, because if they don't make it a headline, it won't become a problem. And if it doesn't become a problem, it stays cheap, easy, and quietly profitable. But let's be clear. A sandwich with over 600 milligrams of sodium, no origin traceability, and nutritional value comparable to a frozen fish stick shouldn't be sold for $5 in 2025. That's not inflation, that's exploitation. And Dairy Queen knows exactly which demographics won't ask questions. So here's the truth. This isn't just a fish sandwich, it's a mirror, reflecting a system that rewards bare minimums, silences scrutiny, and treats food as filler. And every time one of these sandwiches gets handed out in a paper bag, that system tightens its grip just a little more. Stay sharp. Stay watching. Because next we're revealing 2 fish sandwiches that somehow miraculously still respect your trust. Number 1, Wendy's. In the American food industry, keeping a promise is like walking a tightrope in a storm, especially when that promise is about quality. Yet somehow, Wendy's has managed to do what many larger chains can't even fake convincingly. They've made a fish sandwich that doesn't just exist to fill a gap. It actually respects the person eating it. The Wendy's crispy panko fish sandwich might not come with fanfare or viral commercials. But what it delivers quietly and consistently is a sense of care. Real care. The fish is wild-caught Alaskan pollock breaded with panko for a texture that holds up even under heat lamps. No mystery mush, no double-fried frozen slabs. just a sandwich that shows up how it should. But here's the twist. The win isn't just in the ingredients, it's in the transparency. While other chains bury sourcing info behind vague labels or generic names, Wendy's actually states where their fish comes from. Not only that they upgraded to a crispy panko crust in 2021 after consumer feedback pushed them to improve, that decision didn't come cheap, but they did it anyway. Because when you treat your customers like they matter, you act like it too. And it's not just the fish that speaks volumes. The bun is toasted, not steamed. The lettuce is fresh, not bagged. The pickles, thick, crisp, and surprisingly tangy. Even the tartar sauce is balanced, not that cloying mess you find elsewhere, but a mild, creamy finish that complements the fish without overwhelming it. Now pull the lens back. What does this say about Wendy's as a company? In an era where fast food giants chase quarterly profits at the expense of quality, Wendy's has carved out a reputation for doing things slower, smarter, and with less spin. Their refusal to centralize all supply through the cheapest routes has helped them avoid the scandals that plagued others. Their kitchens, held to higher prep standards. Their franchisees, pushed to maintain consistency that feels more diner than discount. And in a time when fast food menus read like a list of what went wrong with modern agriculture, this matters a lot. Because this isn't just about one sandwich. It's about accountability, about reminding people that fast food doesn't have to mean shortcuts, that somewhere between inflation spikes and corporate cost cutting, it's still possible to eat something that wasn't engineered in a lab or dredged from the discount bin of a global supplier. That fish sandwich from Wendy's, it's not perfect, but it's proof that better choices do exist and that the bar only feels low because so many others stop trying. So next time you're staring at a backlit menu board wondering which option is the least likely to wreck your day, remember this one chain still believes that taste and trust can share the same table, and that might be the biggest win of all. Number 2, Popeyes. Popeyes doesn't whisper. It doesn't beg for attention. It storms in chest out and lets the crunch do the talking. In a sea of fast food noise that's rare. And when it comes to fish sandwiches, that same confidence shows up in a way that feels almost defiant, especially when other chains are barely trying. Let's start with the obvious. The Cajun flounder fish sandwich is bold. A thick fillet seasoned all the way through, not just on the edges like it was dipped in flavor dust. The texture holds. The coating actually crunches. The spice, real. Not gimmicky, not overly salted to mask blandness. It tastes like someone wanted you to remember it. But again, this isn't just about the taste. This is about a brand that even under corporate ownership hasn't lost its spine. Popeyes sources their flounder with traceability. They've built supply partnerships that focus on wild-caught fish instead of questionable filler blends. And in an industry where overfishing and mislabeled imports are rampant, that's not just rare, that's a stand. And that stand matters now more than ever. Because while inflation pushes every corner of the menu under corporate microscopes, Popeyes has kept this item from turning into a discount bin catastrophe. No shrinkflation here. No quietly swapping ingredients behind the scenes. Even in 2025, the filet size holds, the quality holds, and the price, while not cheap, still feels earned. The seasoning speaks to a deeper philosophy too. It's not a fish sandwich pretending to be light. It's unapologetic, flavor-forward, proudly Southern. And unlike some chains that offer fish as a corporate checkbox, Popeyes presents theirs like they actually believe in it. Like they've tasted it. Like it matters. That's not just food, that's culture, that's identity. Zoom out and the pattern becomes clear. Popeyes is one of the few fast food players still investing in in-store training that focuses on consistency. They haven't offloaded fish to the lowest bidder or treated it like a seasonal prop. They've actually listened to customer reviews, tweaked cook times, improved prep workflows. It's not perfect, but it is intentional. And intention is everything in a market this cynical. Because consumers today aren't just hungry. They're tired. Tired of feeling tricked, rushed, underserved. Tired of products that feel like they were designed by spreadsheets and optimized for shareholder applause. And in that exhaustion, something like Popeye's fish sandwich stands out not just for flavor, but for refusing to compromise. This doesn't mean Popeyes is flawless. no chain is. But when it comes to their fish sandwich, they've done what few others dared. They took a risk on quality in an industry addicted to shortcuts. They leaned into regional flavor instead of watering it down. And they've managed to stay honest about what they're serving and why. So yes, in a landscape littered with breaded lies and soggy regret, Popeyes might just be proof that fast food can still have a backbone. It won't save the system, but it might just save your lunch. And that right now is saying a lot. So now you've seen it. The worst offenders and the rare survivors. In a market saturated with corporate deceit and deep-fried illusions, knowing where to draw the line isn't just smart, it's essential. Because the next fish sandwich you bite into could be loaded with more chemicals than cod, more profits than ethics. But it doesn't have to be that way. Some choices still respect your wallet, your health, and your trust. And those are the ones worth standing behind. You deserve better, always have. And now you know exactly where to find it.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.